Yeah, so I think what's interesting is it's really been kind of in the works for a really, really long time.
So I think it has the potential to open up like a lot of doors for people.
NIL is long overdue. Before I say anything else, I'll say NIL is long overdue.
Today, the NCAA is set to vote on a recommendation by the Division I Council that would suspend amateurism rules related to name, image, and likeness.
It's interesting to think about it because I feel like I've been talking about name, image, and likeness and what it could look like probably for like the last 10 years. The conversation really started to take off probably 4 years ago of, how can we allow students to profit off of their name, image, and likeness and not cross over to pay for play.
Before the summer of 2021, the idea of sponsorships by college athletes of brands both national and local was unheard of.
I guess now it's kind of like legal, I guess you could say. So, yeah, I mean, and then more and more people actually came to me about it, like, oh, can you do my hair? Can you do this? Can you do that? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I don't know. It was just a big benefit, just getting money for it. A lot of student athletes have huge NIL deals, and I'm hopeful to be a part of that one day.
But now, the National Collegiate Athletic Association has allowed for students to try their hand at profiting from their athletic careers.
Name, image, and likeness is legitimately the student athletes, like their body of work. So using their name, their image, their own likeness, like who they are, right? So, using me and what I am as a person and being able to monetize that without the affiliation of the institution in which I play for. Pay for play is the institution giving me money to play for the institution, which would make me an employee of the institution.
For me, one of the routes that I've been taking is trying to use myself to leverage my brand as a student athlete.
Student athletes like Kedrick Whitehead, team captain of the University of Delaware football team, are thrilled at the possibilities brought about by the NCAA's recent approval of NIL deals. And while it does present a host of challenges, Whitehead enjoys finding new ways to overcome them.
When you're at a bigger school, it's not going to be as hard for you to generate momentum to want people to want to endorse you. When you're at a smaller school, you're a smaller school guy. It's just putting in the work with it.
I think what's really cool at the mid-major schools is a lot of the mid-major schools are in places where they're in college towns, right? So University of Delaware is in Newark. What else? What other professional sports team is in Newark, Delaware? None, right? These mid-major stars can utilize their star power in their market.
And while it can be intimidating for student athletes to navigate the new world of NIL, it was an even more turbulent road to reach a place where those deals were even possible.
You saw a lot of lawsuits come about, you saw a lot of legal movement, but it was almost as though July of last year, the NCAA had to start playing catch up, right? The NCAA had to make these policy changes because if they weren't going to make those policy changes, then they were going to open themselves up to lawsuits, open themselves up to all types of litigation.
One of the most prolific examples of such litigation came in 2014, in a case which ignited conversations of student-athlete compensation on the national level.
The O'Bannon case was the one that really started to get the conversation going. So Ed O'Bannon was a men's basketball player at UCLA. He's graduated, he's playing like NCAA 2K or whatever that game was called on his PlayStation probably, right, a decade ago. And he can be himself on the game, right? And he's like, wait a second. So they're selling these games with my name, image, and likeness, and I'm not getting a cent from this. What was interesting about the O'Bannon case and how it was settled was student athletes from, I think, 2010 until they were able to earn cost of attendance. All of those student athletes from 2010 to the time, I think it was 2017, where cost of attendance was implemented, all of those student athletes got checks.
Now, there are a handful of lawsuits right now where some former student athletes have gone to court to argue that student athletes should be treated as employees. In fact, there's one locally here.
But even as courts are trying to sort out laws surrounding NIL deals, universities are trying their best to maintain guidelines consistent with the newly developed NCAA policy.
What the NCAA did is they did not pass necessarily a rule, they gave us a framework to work within.
Even within such a framework, student athletes now have the necessary tools to work for pay in new and creative ways.
Social media pretty much tells you and gives you everything. And social media also allows you to like reach out to companies that you could possibly get a like NIL deal with, which I think I've done probably like once.
NIL would be a lot different ballgame if it wasn't for social media, and I think that social media makes it a lot easier for you to get NIL deals because again, as a smaller school guy, you know, if you're a small school guy with 1 million followers, then you're not really a small school guy. You know, they don't really care what type of football you play on the field. They just want to know how can you drive their product or service.
Dickey credits social media with being the most valuable tool in securing NIL agreements and that it has become essential to that process. Track and field athlete Jess Harding agrees.
I feel like using social media is like second nature for our generation at this point. So like it takes a little bit of creativity to think of things to like post, but it's kind of just like carving out an hour to think of like a picture and a caption and just posting it. And I think it's just an easy way to use something we're already using.
I mean, that kind of helped me actually when I did get in, like when they did like pass the NIL stuff and all that. So I actually was able to continue doing hair and I did my painting a little bit. And then of course with the True Company. So I never really had like that much prior experience to it. But with the NIL deal, it opened a lot of doors for me.
Other student athletes like Whitehead are enjoying the expansion of opportunities for self-promotion and content creation, and see NIL as a perfect platform to launch their own brand.
I've been able to come up with different type of ways and strategies to gain NIL deals as a smaller school guy. On the field being a 5-time All-American, 3-time team captain, that will ring a bell for a couple companies, but other companies, they want to see what you do off the field, whether that be community service or whether that be your social media platforms and how much pull you have and how much engagement you can generate on those platforms. It started actually with me making this shirt right here, being able to profit off of something so simple as a shirt with my own name on it. This time last year you couldn't do that, which is sad to say. I couldn't make my own shirt with my own name and make money off of that. So there was this guy who ended up reaching out to me on TikTok. It was just like, yo, bro, I'm trying to get you an NIL deal. I do custom cleats. All you gotta do is send me the cleats. I'll customize them. Just tag me. That's it.
And while some athletes have their sights set on large-scale deals and sponsorships, Jess Harding enjoys the support of local businesses.
Yeah, so it kind of started as a joke because I saw people were like, when everyone was messaging Barstool to be a Barstool athlete, I was like, what can I get out of this kind of thing? So I just Instagram DM'd Roots and I was like, hey, are you looking to sponsor your first Delaware athlete? And they just responded to me and they're like, sure, we'll put something together and like get back to you.
And because the concept of NIL agreements is so new, this current generation of student athletes has a lot of hope for what these endorsements might look like in the future.
I think we're going to see a lot more of an investment into college athletics. I think prior to NIL, the only way for a sponsorship from a college athletics perspective was to, put a sign in an arena. Yeah, you can have those sponsorships in arena, but if you have an organization that has some type of specific tie or can really utilize the voice of an athlete, I think that's going to make a lot more sense for your advertising dollars. I think that's going to make a lot more sense for your investments.
I think the support level will definitely improve all over. But yeah, I think it definitely will begin to evolve in a tremendous way. You'll probably see more girls and guys collabing more on different projects and stuff like that. Yeah, people might come up with new shoe companies, shoe brands and clothing brands, all types of stuff. So I definitely think it's going to evolve in a tremendous way.
We're talking about guys coming fresh out of high school or being a first-year college student, second-year college student. These are guys who aren't even 21 years old yet, and it's changing their lives for the better.
The reality of it is, not all of our student athletes are going to be interested in NIL, but I do want everyone to understand what it is and at least have a baseline understanding so then they can make that decision on, is this something I want to pursue or not? Because I do want our students to understand that we're supportive of it, right? That this is a place where we're going to give you the opportunity, we're going to give you the tools to do it, but you have to do the work.
And now that college athletics finally has those tools and resources, student athletes will finally have a new challenge to meet, to pursue all new endorsements with name, image, and likeness.
What?